Hi, it's me, Daphne, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be going through a ton of books that I'm unhauling, getting out of my life. I don't need them anymore, and rehoming them with someone else that may enjoy them. So, this is a part of a effort of me decluttering for my move. I am moving out of this apartment and I need to downsize a little bit to make the moving process easier. I'm very excited about the move. I don't usually take change very well, but there are just so many positives, and how can I be upset? So looking forward to it. I'm gonna be moving so soon. But let's go ahead and talk about the books that I don't want to take with me to the next place. I will be donating all these books. Someone put a box in our laundry room downstairs asking people to donate their books for a book drive that's happening relatively local to the area. So I'm just gonna bring all these books downstairs tomorrow after I'm done telling you which books I'm getting rid of. Which books I'm donating to society, free of charge. I can't be bothered to sell the books, honestly. Like, I don't have boxes to ship them to people. I don't have the patience for that. Plus, I like to collect free books where I can, like when people have boxes on the street or little free libraries or whatever. So I feel like I'm doing, I'm balancing it out by donating books for free as well. I'm gonna start with Book of the Month, books that I've read. I don't unhaul Book of the Month books that I haven't read, because if I buy a book, I wanna at least try it before I get rid of it. So I've read all these books. The first one right here on the top is The Cartographers by Peng Shepherd. This cover, I love this cover. I've been holding on to it because I think it's pretty, but it's not like I have it facing outward like on my shelves. So I think it's fine if I get rid of it. I didn't love this book. At most, I probably gave it 3 stars. I found it kind of confusing. I thought it had a lot of cool potential. So the premise of this book is there are like magical maps in the New York City library, and this woman is trying to determine what happened to her parents who like disappeared. There's a lot of mystery going on. I just don't think the execution was that strong, though there was so much good potential with the magic system. And I was just underwhelmed by the ending, and I was confused. So, gonna unhaul this, but I don't think it's the worst book, and maybe somebody else would like it better. Similarly, I have The Space Between Worlds. This is a sci-fi, and again, it had a really cool premise. I don't super remember it. This is from 2020. I probably read it that year, 2021. I think there's a bit of like time traveling or like multi-dimension. I think it was different dimensions. Like, this woman is both of these people, but in one world she's like in this desolate place and she's like poor and impoverished and struggling, and then in this other world she's like wealthy and technology is really advanced. There are just all these other dimensions, and I think she's being killed in all the different dimensions, which again sounds super cool, but I found it confusing at the end to the point where I was like, it's not that fun if I don't understand what you're talking about. And I don't think it's a me problem. I really don't think it's a me problem. I think it's an execution problem where they pose a lot of cool questions, but the answers aren't thought out well enough, in my opinion. So again, another book somebody else might enjoy more than me, so I'm gonna unhaul it. This next one I don't hate. I think I gave it probably 3 stars, and it's The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year. I just don't think I'm ever gonna reread it, and it was only all right. This is a mystery, kind of, about these 2 authors that are invited to this beautiful old manor in the UK, owned by this very famous mystery author, and that famous author, she goes missing. She's like an old woman, and they're trying to like figure out what happened to this old woman. And there's obviously like a cast of characters, but the issue I had with this book is that the mystery solving was reliant on fictional books within this fictional book. So like, as the reader, you can't participate in solving the mystery because the character will be like, oh, the famous author in her 79th book, she mentioned a red ribbon or whatever, so that means that the next clue is going to be in this location. But like, they don't reference the books to me as the reader. It's just like pulled out of thin air, and I just have to be like, okay, I'll take your word for it as an expert on all these books. So it's not that fun as a mystery to like unravel it yourself. You're just like along for the ride. I don't know. It was just like a plot device. This is mostly a romance, but it's pretty fade to black. I don't need to keep it. It's taking up space. I want to make more space for books that I'm excited about and books that I love. Okay, now we're getting a little aggro with the next one. I have The Ministry of Time. I did DNF this one, but I tried to read it. I got maybe like 35 to 40% of the way in before I gave up, and then I looked up the spoilers. Thank you to Chanel for spoiling this book for me so that I could at least have the mystery answered, but not have to like read it myself. I felt like the conclusions were just like wild but stupid, and I did not, well, that's kind of harsh, but it just wasn't worth it for me to read it myself. Like, I didn't feel that the ending made sense. It just like totally changed the tone of the book. Plus, the main character in this, she's just weird. I did not like her. I felt like she was sexualizing her charge. Like, she's responsible for this man who's been pulled out of time and brought into like present time. He's like from the 1700s or whatever. She was just freaking creepy. She was territorial over him, and it was just gross. It like isn't really a romance, so you're not like feeling it in that way. She just feels controlling and gross around this man. So did not like her, and I really struggle to read books with unlikable characters. It's just not my vibe. I want to root for people. I don't want to be disgusted by the main character. So glad I DNF this. It actually makes me mad. I've been wanting to unhaul this for a very long time, but I had to make a video, so I've been holding on to it until I had a few books that I was ready to get rid of. And then the last book of the month book I'll talk about is another book that I did not like actively, and that was Phantasma. This is a pretty thick book. I took a chance on it. This is a competition style fantasy book with some romance in it, and I just don't really like competitions in books. The stakes just never really seem that high, especially when it's written via first person, because you need the main character to survive in order to progress the narrative. So there's just like no stakes, and I think the main character was illogical in a lot of her actions because she's supposed to be there to save her sister, but she's like not concerned about her sister once she meets this man, this ghost man. And I'm like, dude, aren't you concerned that your sister's been like murdered? Like, why are you busy fucking this guy? Like, that completely aggravated me, so I actively hated this book. I have a vlog about my experience reading it. A lot of people love this book, but I do like when I find other booktubers that hated it. So I can commiserate with them. So that's all the book of the month books. I'm gonna now move on to books that I've read, but I've just collected over time. So the first book I'll talk about is Rose Matter by Stephen King. I read this from my IRL book club with my friends here in the city, and it's fine. It's a solid Stephen King read. I didn't hate it, but I don't think I'll reread it. I don't know. I don't think I'd loan it out. I mean, I could, but like, I don't know. I just don't feel the need to hold on to it in my collection. I might as well just put it back into the universe and let somebody else find it and enjoy a Stephen King that they might not have heard of before, because this is definitely not one of his most popular ones. I don't feel a special attachment to it to need to have it in my collection. This is about like domestic abuse basically, and has a little bit of fantasy elements. This next one I'm actually kind of bummed to get rid of, but it's Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. I've read a couple Lucy Score books now, like I have Forever Never Behind You that I actually really enjoyed. This one was different than I expected. It was fine, but I think it was like a solid 3 stars, nothing fantastic or super interesting that I feel the need to hold on to it. Plus it's pretty thick, so I could easily replace it with books that I have stronger positive feelings towards, whereas this one I'm kind of just like, whatever about it. This was about like a woman who was a twin who was running away from her wedding, and she falls in love with this grumpy small town hero. The cast of characters is older in this book. They're like 40s, which I did not know going in, and kind of like or in the start. It's fine, but it was just weird. Like, I felt like you could have just aged them to be like late 20s, early 30s or whatever, because their age didn't really play a role that much in the story. But I felt like if you're gonna age the characters that way, I feel like it would have been handled differently. Like an older cast would make different decisions. Like, why is she like nearly 40, if not already in her 40s, running away from a wedding, like her first wedding. I don't know. I don't know. The characters just felt more immature than their listed ages. So yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Bye. Next, I have Stephen King's Joyland, which I didn't really like. I think I ended up giving it like 2.5 stars. This is about a old man recollecting his time working at an amusement park when he was in his early 20s, and how there was like a ghost maybe and like a serial killer. But like, because the way the narrative is set up, there's no stakes. Like, you know the main character is going to be fine because he's old retelling it. Like, he obviously didn't die. So I just didn't care, and I just didn't find the serial killer element or the ghost element that interesting. Yeah, I actively didn't like this one. Out of Stephen King's things, you don't need to read this one. Next, I have The Sundown Motel. I read this for my IRL book club. I actually brought this with me on my Europe trip, and it was fine. This is a ghosty mystery story. The mystery was kind of dope. The ghosty stuff was just kind of distracting. It wasn't super relevant to the story, in my opinion. It just added like a creepy factor. And like some of the characters at the end, the decisions they made, I was like, that wasn't necessary, in my opinion. You didn't have to do that. I wouldn't have done it. Yeah, this was just fine. I don't feel very strongly towards it, so I'll let somebody else pick it up. Another Lucy score that I have is The Christmas Fix. I, again, probably gave this like 3 stars. It was fun at the time. I think we have our main heroine who's trying to help this small town after being hit by a really bad hurricane, and this small town man, I think he's the mayor, doesn't trust her, and he's like, what are you doing in my town? I think she like films stuff too. She's like a reality TV star, like think HGTV, you know what I mean? So he's like, why are you trying to take advantage of our town? Da, da, da. He doesn't trust her motivation, but she means well, and it's their romance, and it was cute, but I don't feel the need to keep it, so letting it move on. This one might be a little shocking to people, even though it's a bit old. I have Ready Player One. I read this many, many years ago and enjoyed it, but it's very nostalgic, I think of like the 80s or something. A lot of the references aren't directed for my generation. It's like not that powerful for me. I did have fun with it, but again, I read this so long ago and I just don't feel like keeping it anymore. I've had it on my shelves for a long time and it's just not sparking any joy. So I'll let somebody else enjoy it. As simple as that. This was like a sci-fi about a kid on a Easter egg hunt. I think he's like actually looking for some kind of egg thing so he can become super rich, and he's like very poor, and like the world is all living in alternate reality wearing like goggles, I think. And it just sounds really depressing to live that way. But yeah, that's all I really remember. Another book that I didn't like was She Who Became the Sun. I know some people really love this book. This was pitched to me as being a Mulan retelling, and I have to disagree with that, okay? The only way it's similar to being like Mulan is because the main character is a woman and she pretends to be a man. But this main character, again, is a very unlikable character, and I just don't like that. I want to like my main character. So for the fact that she was being unlikable and making decisions that I didn't agree with, and was like kind of power crazy, like really, I don't know. I just hated this girl. I read this for my IRL book club. I don't want to keep this book anymore. I'm so happy to get rid of it, to be honest. And then the last book I have that I read that I actively didn't like was Beautyland. I read this for my family book club. I actually picked this up because Allie from Allie Does Reads raved about it, but this book just did not work for me. It's very slice of life, and it's a bit experimental, kooky. I don't know. Is the main character reliable? I don't know. The main character, she's like claiming she's an alien, but she was a baby and was like born from a regular human woman. I took everything the main character said as truth, but upon reflection, I'm like, maybe she was just crazy. Maybe she was just delusional. I don't know. So it was like this woman like trying to understand what it is like to be a human, but there was nothing profound that came out of the discussion, in my opinion. So actively did not like this book, felt like it was a waste of time, but maybe somebody else will connect with it better. So this next grouping is books that I haven't read yet, but I did pull them off my shelves and read a few paragraphs from each one. Obviously, some of them I read a couple paragraphs and decided to keep. These are the ones that I decided they're not gonna work for me. Either the description isn't that compelling or the writing style is just not jiving with me in this point in my life, and I need to make space. I don't think I'd pick them up anytime soon based off these first few paragraphs, so I am releasing them from my ownership. So the first one I'll talk about is this J.D. Robb book, aka Nora Roberts, who is a romance author. She does a lot of historical, does some like romantic suspense stuff, and apparently she also writes under J.D. Robb and does like this police series. This is the first book. It's called Naked in Death, if I didn't say. I mean, I picked this up for free. Got a little bit of a serotonin hit from that, but I don't need this book. So mainly when I read the synopsis again, like recently to decide if I wanted to keep it or not, it's like this female police lieutenant. She's like looking for a serial killer or something. She has a suspect, this Irish billionaire, and she's investigating him. But it says, passion and seduction have rules of their own, and it's up to Evie to take a chance in the arms of a man she knows nothing about except the addictive hunger of needing his touch. She's like getting involved with him, and it just feels very unprofessional. And I just feel like I'm not gonna like her. I'm like, how are you investigating a man and then you're gonna sleep with him when you're a police officer? It's not like she's undercover, as far as I assume from the synopsis. So I'm just like, bitch, be fucking professional. It's your job. It's like, there is a killer on the loose. Like, ew. I just found that gross, so I don't want to read that. Then I have Behead. It's like the Puritans, you know, first coming to America, the Mayflower. My friend picked this up for me for free. She just saw a free box and she's like, oh, maybe Daphne would like this. And I've held on to it for probably like 2-3 years. I'm just not going to read this. I'm not interested. So, goodbye. That's all I have to say. And next, I have Gentlemen Callers. This was my friend Maddie's old book. She was getting rid of it, and I was like, ooh, let me take it off your hands. I read actually a couple of the short stories. They're super short. They're like 2 pages. They're not really poems, but they're like so short they could be like a poem. And it's about this woman that just like has these sexual dreams. Having a sexual dream about the gas station attendant, about the swim instructor. And I read those first 2, and I'm like, I don't need to read this. Like, what am I getting out of this? Like, absolutely nothing. Okay, it's like, tonight I dreamed of my gas station attendant. He'd fallen for me and was lathering my car. Suddenly, my attendant was next to me in the seat. We were both hidden from sight, sheltered under the thick white foam, because he was washing in front of her car. Then she's like, she sees him in person. She's like, I had such a brutal desire to be a sponge in his hand. I felt the shock of the bucket's icy water. Like, this is not for me. I don't care. I don't care about your, I don't care. For me, it just feels too strange and like it's trying too hard. Like, I don't care. I like things that are straightforward. Like, let's just be straightforward, okay? The next book I have is Reunion Beach. I got this for free from going to a author's brunch event, which was cool. I had read her other book and we got to discuss it with the author and stuff. I went with my mom's book club, which was fun. It was like in West Village. We were like at the author's brownstone. It was super cool. Her place is so cool. It's like very charming and has these beautiful old touches and like artistic details with like wallpaper and like books everywhere. It was very cool. And she's written a collection in this book with a bunch of other authors, but I don't think I'm the target audience for this, so I'm just not that interested. So I'm just gonna let it go because I don't need it. This other book I have Maddie also was getting rid of, and I took it off her hands. This is called All the Lovers in the Night. This is a Japanese book. I just was not vibing with the writing style either with this one. Ugh, it's like a middle-aged woman who's like, oh, I suck, my life sucks, I'm horrible. And I'm just like, I don't care. Oh, like, I don't fucking care. I want to read about like hopeful, fun things. I don't want to read about like this woman who's miserable and just like sucks. So I read a couple pages of this, didn't jive with it. I don't want it anymore. Okay, the next 2 are probably the most shameful that I have to talk to you about. So I have Kinning by Nisi Shawl. This is the second book in a series. I was gifted this from the publisher, but I didn't realize it was the second book in the series. So I went back and listened to the first one, but I really had a hard time comprehending what was going on in the first one. It's very like steampunk fantasy, takes place in Africa, kind of goes back to Europe. It's like a bit about the colonization of Africa, which was an interesting topic, but there was a lot of like, I don't know if we were like time jumping, like I don't know. I just couldn't follow the timeline very well because I was listening to it. I was very confused. I think I would have had a better experience if I had read the first book with my eyeballs and maybe listened along, but I just didn't enjoy my time listening to the first one as much as I wanted to, so I'm just never gonna read the second one. I'm just never gonna do it. But I'm happy to talk about it. I don't think it's bad. I just think I was confused. I'm just not interested in continuing. There are so many other books that I'm excited to get to, and I'm just gonna make space by unhauling this one. Thank you to the publisher for gifting it to me. It was very thoughtful. I hope other people pick it up if it sounds like an interesting series to them. It just didn't happen to hook me in personally at this time in my life. And then this last one is a pick from my basketball friend group's book club. And like, it only has like, I don't even know, like less than 100 reviews or something on Goodreads. And I read like 3 pages and I'm like, this is written not good. It's not well written at all. And it's this book called Trafficked to Hell. Also, it's kind of confusing because I'm like, is it nonfiction? Is it fiction? Because like some of the ways it's categorized on Goodreads is confusing. This has 101 ratings and 13 reviews on Goodreads with a 4.4 rating. And it says, a trafficked daughter's plight, a mother's fight to find her, which is like all good and dandy, whatever. Genres it's shelved under is feminism, gender, nonfiction, gender studies, which I don't understand. It reads like fiction, so I'm like, how is it nonfiction? I just don't want to read this book. I'm just gonna get rid of it. I just feel so bad because I should not have bought it in the first place. It wasn't something that I thought I was gonna like. Anyway, I don't really want to read about this topic, but we were wrapping up our meeting and people were just ordering the book that was for the next selection, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll just order mine, and I just wasted my money. Complete waste of money. I have no interest in this book. I think it was the biggest book-related mistake I made this year. So, whatever. At least this author, they got some money from my purchase, and maybe somebody else will find it once I donate it and give it a rating on Goodreads. So, at least it's getting circulated, even though I'm not gonna read it. All right, so those are all the books that I'm unhauling. Please let me know if you agree with any of my takes on these books, or if you totally disagree and are shocked I would ever let them go. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below if you haven't already. I would greatly appreciate it, and obviously it helps out my channel. And I will catch you in another video. Bye!